Solving a system of equations. In this lesson, you will learn how to solve a system of equations. Jeff owns a health food store. He wants to sell a homemade trail mix. He wants to combine mixed nuts worth $4 per pound with mixed dried berries worth $3.25 per pound to make 15 pounds of a mixture worth $3.60 per pound. How many pounds of nuts must he use? So our variables we can say are N equals the number of pounds of mixed nuts and B equals the number of pounds of mixed dried berries. So we can set up two equations using this information. We can set up one equation looking at the weights of the nuts and the berries in the mixture, and that equation would be N plus B equals 15. Equation number 2 can represent the cost. So we multiply $4 times the number of pounds for the mixed nuts plus $3.25 times the number of pounds for mixed dried berries equals $3.60 times the total of 15 pounds. So those are the two equations that we're going to look at. And we're going to solve this problem using three different methods. The first method is graphing. So we have our two equations, and we're going to solve for one of the variables. In this case, we're going to solve for n. So for both of the equations, we're going to solve for n. So we subtract the 3.25b, and we simplify the 3.6 times 15, and then we're going to divide by 4. So we get n equals 13.5 minus 0.8125b. If it helps, you can change that into a fraction because when we go to graph it, it might be easier to use 13 over 16 as the slope. So we have our graph, and we're going to use the y-axis as the number of pounds of mixed nuts. So that's going to be our n, and our x-axis is the number of pounds of mixed dried berries. That's our b value. And every line represents 2 pounds. So the first line we can graph, our y-intercept is 15 and our slope is -1. So we go down 1 and to the right 1, down 1 to the right 1, down 1 to the right 1, and so on. Then we can graph the other line, which is a y-intercept of 13.5. So here we go to about 13.5, and then we go down 13 and over 16. So you can go down 13, which would put you at about 0.5, and over 16. So you have another point right here, and then you can just connect them. And then you notice where they intersect is at the point 8.7. Remember that 8 was the B value, so we have 8 pounds of mixed dried berries, and 7 is the N value, so 7 pounds of mixed nuts. So the answer to the original question is 7 pounds of mixed nuts. Now let's look at a different method. Substitution. Again, we take our original two equations, and now we're going to get one variable by itself, so we get the n by itself, and then we're going to take that expression for n, the 15 minus b, and we're going to plug it in here for n in our second equation. We're substituting this expression 15 minus b in for the n. That's why it's called substitution. And then it's just solving for b. So we combine our like term, or we distribute the 4. So 4 times 15 gives you 60. 4 times negative b gives you negative 4b. And we can simplify the 3.60 times the 15. Then we combine like terms, and we can subtract the 60 over to the other side. When we combine the like terms, we get negative 0.75b. So then to get the b by itself, we divide both sides by the negative 0.75. And we get 8 pounds of berries. So then if we plug that back in to the one of the original equations, the first one's easier, then we get n equals 7 pounds of mixed nuts. Notice that we got the same answer as when we used the graphing method. Now we're going to try one more method, and this is called linear combinations. You take your two equations and you line them up vertically. Then, in linear combinations, you want to get one of your variables to cancel out. So you can either multiply this equation by -4 to get your n's to cancel out, because 4n and -4n would give you 0, or you can multiply by -3.25 to get the b's to cancel out. So we're going to go ahead and multiply by -4 so that our n's will cancel out, because it's easier to multiply with a whole number than it is with a fraction or a decimal. So now we rewrite our original equation, and then we're going to rewrite the second one. And I've just spread out each term so that it lines up with the term that it goes with. It's similar term. And then we're just going to add vertically. So the ends will cancel, and when we take 3.25b and subtract 4b, we get -0.75b, and then 54 minus 60 is -6. And then again, divide both sides by your -0.75, and you get 8 pounds of berries. And then just like in substitution, you plug that back into one of your original equations, and you solve and get n equals 7 pounds of mixed nuts. So these are the three ways you can solve a system of equations. You have graphing, substitution, and linear combinations.